one of our animal care specialists. As animal care specialists, it's our responsibility and it's also our privilege to understand these animals in their different and unique ways, to fulfill their needs, and to help people from around the world to connect to their tails and also want to help their species. Each animal that you all are going to see on stage today, and all of the animals that call Busch Gardens home, they all play crucial roles within their environments. They all have very special places in this world. But which one is the most important? Which one is the most impressive? Keep those questions in mind, because I think we might have the answers to those at the end of this presentation. Without any further ado, let me introduce you all to Rhea and one of her favorite animal ambassadors, Aries. Yay! Oh, wow, you guys are giving Aries a warm welcome. Sometimes we have people that like to throw hissy fits. Aries is a ball python. That means she is a constrictor. So she is non-venomous and she's also non-poisonous. Does anyone know the difference between venom and poison? Okay, I see a couple hands. For those who don't know, poison has to be ingested. If you eat or drink something or something absorbs through your skin and you have a reaction, that's poisonous. Venom, on the other hand, has to be injected. This can be through fangs, barbs, stingers, or maybe even quills. There's actually very few venomous snakes in the world, and there's even fewer poisonous snakes. But the most notable poisonous snakes are the different keelback species over in Asia. Most snakes, like Aries, are actually considered non-threatening when left alone. Most people assume that a majority of snake bites happen on our feet and on our ankles, probably just from walking by and a snake decides to pop out and spook you. When in reality, that's actually not the case. Around 85% of snake bites happen on our hands and on our fingers, because there are two types of people in this world. The first, people like me and Rhea, who want to boop the little danger noodle on the nose. And then the other people who just want to shoo them away. The general rule is if you leave a snake alone, they're most likely going to leave you alone too. Now, it might be a little difficult to see, but Aries is doing something really, really cool with her tongue. Does anyone know what a snake is doing when they're flicking their tongue around like that?
Smelling.
Smelling, that's exactly right. Looks like she's checking out Rhea's deodorant right now. Yeah? Oh.
I think it's time to reapply.
Yeah, we're zookeepers, what can we say? She's using that tongue to sense the world around her, and here's how it works. A snake will flick its tongue in the air or somewhere along the ground, and when they do that, they pick up different particles. They'll bring their tongue back inside their mouth, and they're gonna stick it up into this little cavity called the Jacobson's organ. For snakes, this is one of their adaptations. They're gonna use that Jacobson's organ to interpret those particles they just picked up. So they can tell her if there's any predators nearby, or if anyone has a rat in their pocket in the front 2 rows. No, I don't think so. She can use that tongue to detect prey. What's even cooler, that tongue is forked. It has those 2 little ends, so it can actually tell her which direction her prey went to. Pretty cool, right? When Aries first came on stage though, and she got that large round of applause, I was very surprised. You gave her a warm welcome. And the reason I mention that is because she is an ectotherm, just like all reptiles. Does anyone know what an ectotherm is?
Cold-blooded.
Someone said it, cold-blooded. That's exactly right. Ectotherm is just a sciencey way to say just that. Obviously, her blood is not actually cold. It just reflects the state of her environment because she cannot regulate her blood temperature. You and I are endotherms, and we can do that. No matter where we are, our blood temperature is going to be around 98.6 degrees. But for Aries, it's going to be the same temperature as her environment. So if she's outside and it's 100 degrees, she's going to feel 100 degrees. If it's 40 degrees outside, she's going to feel 40 degrees. And I'd say it's around 74 degrees inside this auditorium, so what do you think Aries feels like? That's exactly right, you guys got it. For reptiles, the amount of energy that they can use directly relates to their body temperature. So that's why reptiles are more often active during summer than they are during winter. Because they have more energy to use, it's because they feel warmer inside. Pretty cool. And I hope after hearing all of that, Aries isn't that scary, right? Yeah, I think she's pretty awesome, but I do think she's also ready to slither back to her heat lamp. So we will say, see you later, Aries. Whether they eat meat like Aries, or let's say they're herbivores and they eat different plant material, or let's say they're omnivorous, so they eat a little bit of everything. Here at Busch Gardens, we have an entire team dedicated to our animals' diets. Each diet is made specifically for each individual, and it's based off individual preferences, but also species-specific preferences as well, too. Before those diets are given out, our nutrition center team first has the veterinary staff come to assess the diets and ensure that each individual is receiving the proper nutrition. Our nutrition center team, it can take hours for them to properly wash, cut, slice, dice, and separate all of that food material. And that's because they're actually preparing over 3,000 pounds of food every single day. And I know that sounds like a lot, which don't get me wrong, it is. We have almost 2,000 individuals that call Busch Gardens home. And not only are they making sure that each animal is getting the proper nutrition, but they're also making sure we don't have any cross-contamination either, as we don't want our herbivores getting any sort of plant material. And like I said, they take care of every single animal, including some of the largest. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. I said in some of the largest. Yeah, okay. How about let's try this, some of our smallest. This is Edgar. He is an eastern screech owl. Now before I continue on with his tale, does anyone want to hear a bird joke? I'm gonna tell you one anyway. Edgar is a really, really smart dude. You know, owls are often referred to as pretty wise individuals. What do you think his favorite subject was in school? It was math. He was particularly good at owlgebra. Guys, I have so many more animal jokes, so I would start laughing or it's gonna get awkward. Thank you. We'll keep moving on. Edgar is actually a rescue here at Busch Gardens, and Busch Gardens and our sister parks in just the last 5 decades have rescued more than 40,000 animals, which is an incredible thing to accomplish. And here is Edgar's story. Several years ago, Edgar was unfortunately hit by a car, and our amazing veterinary staff did a wonderful job bringing him back to health. Unfortunately, though, he can no longer fly. Since he can't fly, he was deemed non-releasable by the government, and he was placed under our care and for us to be his forever home. And since he's a rescue, we actually don't know his specific age. We weren't there the day he hatched, but we do know he is an adult because this is as big as eastern screech owls get, believe it or not. He's also been with us for over a decade as well too, so that kind of gives it away. And even though he can't fly, he can still show some amazing adaptations for you all today, including his very small size, but also his camouflage. No matter where you are in the audience, you can probably see him very well against my very flattering bright teal shirt. But if I move out of the way, we put him in front of a brown background. See how he almost disappears? Keep in mind, eastern screech owls typically aren't on stage in front of spotlights where you can easily see them, and they're gonna live in wooded environments. They hunt from dusk till dawn, so they hunt at night. So with the low light, the wooded environment, their small size, and also their camouflage, they're more often heard than they are seen. So the rodents that these guys are gonna be picking up might not even realize that they're dinner until it's absolutely too late. And if you don't think that's impressive, well, I don't give a hoot. Thank you. It's one of my favorite ones. I think Edgar is ready to go back to his habitat, so we will say goodbye to Edgar.
Bye, Edgar.
Wow, good job, guys. That was good. Edgar had some amazing adaptations, right? But what exactly are adaptations? They're characteristics that can often help an animal survive within their ecosystem. But not only that, they can also help that ecosystem thrive at the same time. Adaptations come in many different shapes and sizes, as we saw with Edgar. His small size and his silent wings are adaptations. Quills are adaptations. Loud calls, big claws, even the way animals socialize. So that means adaptations can also be behavioral too, not just physiological. And oftentimes, adaptations manifest because of a requirement from that ecosystem too. I'm sure we all know some different animal species that have higher mortality rates. And because of that, they often have more young or more offspring to make up for that at the same time. Adaptations are something that we should recognize and we should appreciate for every single individual animal ambassador. Like I said, Edgar had some pretty cool ones. I'm sure you can all think of some on your own. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I am stalling right now, so that's why we're waiting here a second. But let's talk a little bit more about adaptations. Just kidding, we're not gonna talk more about adaptations. Everyone, please welcome Flash. Yeah, you know how she is. I'm sure you guys, first thing you notice about Miss Flash here is that beautiful shell she has on her back. Let me ask you all a couple of questions. How many of you think that when Flash clocks out at the end of the day and she goes home, she takes off that shell, puts it on a coat rack, and watches Netflix the rest of the night? No?
All except for taking off the shell.
Yeah, sounds like a really nice night, but no, she does not do that. How many of you think that she can crawl out of her shell completely and then go pick up a new shell, kind of like a hermit crab? No? Okay. How many of you think that her shell is actually a part of her body and it's made of 60 different interconnected bones?
Yeah, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, that's the right answer. For tortoises, their shell is not on top of them, and they're also not inside of their shell. Their shell is a part of their body, the same way your spine is a part of you. As they grow, their shell is going to continue to grow with them, and they're going to keep that same shell from the day they were hatched to the day that their life passes away, unfortunately. Now, it does protect many vital organs, I'm sure you all can assume, but it's also very sensitive. If you didn't know, for the testudine family, which are tortoises and turtles, their spine, their ribcage, and nerve endings are infused in the interior side. So you might actually see Rhea, our trainer, give Flash some back scratches. She can completely feel that sensation, and sometimes she finds it pretty reinforcing too. Now, Flash is also another example of a tortoise that also enjoys the sensation of water going down her back as well. So for Flash, we can also offer her enrichment using a hose, a sprinkler, or even sometimes just sitting outside with her in the rain. And she seems to enjoy that sensation. Now, I was just telling you guys about how tortoises and turtles are in the same family, the testudine family. Flash is actually both. She's both a tortoise and a turtle. And that might be a little bit confusing. So think of it like this. All tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises. Does that make sense? Not really, no. Let me give you another analogy. Every poodle that you have ever seen has been a dog, but not every dog that you've ever seen has been a poodle. And that's because there's going to be differences between the species. Between tortoises and turtles, the biggest difference, or I should say one of the biggest differences, is actually going to be by their feet. Turtles are often designed for aquatic or semi-aquatic environments, so their feet are usually flipper-like or webbed because it makes more sense, it's more appropriate for that environment. Tortoises, on the other hand, are not necessarily known for their swimming. They can wade in water, but they don't technically swim. And they also have a huge body that they have to carry, so their feet are more designed like cylindrical or elephantine feet. That's why they look a little circular compared to turtles. So if you see an animal that looks like Flash but has flipper-like feet, then you're looking at a turtle. There's actually 49 different species of tortoises spread out around the world, except for 2 continents. The first is Antarctica. Just like Aries, she is also an ectotherm. So that means it's simply too cold for her down there. And the other is Australia. Australia has almost every single animal that you could ever think of, but they don't have their own natural species of tortoise, which is really interesting. No matter where though, most if not all tortoises are considered keystone species, and that is because of the different adaptations they provide to their ecosystem. A keystone species is an animal species that an environment heavily depends on, and if those species go extinct or leave that environment, there is the chance that ecosystem could crash. Some tortoises dig hollows or tunnels that other animals will use as protection. I don't know if I have any Florida residents out in the audience today, but I'm sure you guys have heard of the gopher species tortoise. They do exactly that. Some tortoises are prey items, and others, like Flash, are seed dispersers. So since they're eating different plant material, they're going to be picking up seeds, and as you all know, what goes in will eventually come out the other end. And as she's going throughout her environment, she's going to be dispersing those seeds, helping plant populations grow. And we're very lucky that she did not disperse any seeds on stage today. No matter what though, they are very credible species that our environments heavily depend on. And what you're watching right now with Flash is actually a training session. She's currently learning how to follow her trainer and walk across the stage. And I think she's done a wonderful job because she's walked, I'd say, at least 10 feet. That's pretty impressive for a tortoise. But I think she is ready to go backstage after she finishes this last snack. So we will say good job to Miss Flash. She's pretty incredible. And we're going to talk a little bit more about training and positive reinforcement a little bit later on. Protecting our keystone species, like I was saying, is very, very important. And that's going to be a part of conservation, which is a huge part of what we as a field do. Many species have been saved from the brink of extinction thanks to zoological facilities. And I'm sure some of these species that you have heard of have been the California condor, the black-footed ferret, and also the Guam kingfisher. Busch Gardens is an AZA accredited facility, and AZA stands for the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. It's the highest accreditation any zoo can receive. And AZA accredited facilities will participate in species survival plans, also known as SSPs. And these are designed to increase genetic diversity as well as population numbers. And those AZA accredited facilities will collaborate with one another to ensure we are doing just that. And AZA will also help with reintroduction programs, which is exactly what those California condor programs were, was raising those individuals under human care and then being able to release them back out into their natural environment and help their population grow. Some of our SSPs we have here are actually the African penguins, the orangutans, and also the tigers. But we also participate in SAFE programs, and that's a fun little acronym for saving animals from extinction. And we actually have several of those too that we participate in, including the Asian elephants, the cheetah, and also the Eastern indigo snake SAFE program. Our conservation fund has supported many initiatives around the world to help those animals and also their ecosystems alike. And just by being here at Busch Gardens today, you are also helping to support conservation too. We cannot thank you all enough for being here today, just sitting in those seats. Again, I am stalling. We are waiting for our next animal ambassador, as this is all choice-based behavior. But again, thank you all for being here and helping support conservation. And conservation doesn't just help those animals that we like to see in the media, like elephants and giraffes and rhinos, but it also helps those animals that maybe we're not so familiar with, like our own pine snakes. Oh, there you are, and our backyard neighbors. This is Ray. He is a Virginia opossum. He's actually 1.5. And oftentimes here in the United States, they get a little bit of a bad reputation, and they're often viewed as pests. But we're actually here to tell you they're more like pest control. They are omnivorous, which, like I said earlier, that means they eat a little bit of everything, and that's also why Virginia opossums are often found digging around through our garbage too. Oh, yeah, perfect, wonderful, good job, Ray. Since they're eating so many different things, from plants to maybe some smaller animals, they also eat insects too. From beetles to crickets, even ticks, they serve as excellent pest control. But not only that, since they are eating ticks, they're also serving as disease control. It's estimated that opossums will eat around 95% of the ticks they come across. So they're helping the spread of Lyme disease, for example. And if you were to ask me or Rhea, we would kind of say that's like a superpower. And even though Ray's superhero story does not start with the Marvel's theme song or maybe a superhero costume, it does start with a troubled past and overcoming many obstacles, as most rags to riches stories do. When Ray was very, very little, he and his sister were still in Mom's pouch, and unfortunately, Mom was hit by a car. A good Samaritan came across and was able to take Ray and his sister to a rescue group who were able to nurse them back to health, and eventually it was planned for them to be released. Now, Ray's sister proved she was born to be wild. As soon as they opened that door on her release date, she immediately ran into her new environment. And as you can all see right now, Ray is currently sitting on stage. On that day that Ray was planned to be released, he proved that he kind of enjoyed the nicer things in life. Air conditioning, free healthcare, eating off of a silver spoon. Essentially, Ray showed human habituation, and this just means he got really, really comfortable with people. So much so, it wouldn't be safe to send him back out into his natural environment, because there's a chance he'd willingly approach and interact with other people that came by, and that can put him in some very dangerous situations. And even though not all Virginia opossums have to be rescued in their lifetime, they all do have to overcome many different odds to reach adulthood. They are marsupials, so their young are referred to as joeys. Just like kangaroos and wallabies, they're actually the United States' only marsupial. So a female opossum can actually give birth to 20 joeys at a time, and they're gonna stay inside Mom's pouch for the first week or 2 weeks. Then they get a little bit bigger, they move to her back where they're gonna ride, and they're gonna learn necessary survival skills, like how to forage, but also how to hide too, as they are prey items. But unfortunately, within those 20 joeys, only 1 or 2 of them are going to make it to adulthood. So if you ever see a Virginia opossum the size of Ray, just know that animal had to go through a lot to make it to that point in life. And I think that's pretty awesome. And Ray is now serving as an excellent ambassador for wild Virginia opossums. Yeah, and I think he's ready to go backstage. They're nocturnal, so they have their midday naps. Wish I could join him, but. All right, we'll see you later, Ray.
Bye, Ray.
Something that you all just witnessed with Ray, and also with Flash walking across the stage, is positive reinforcement, which is overall a pretty simple concept. When an animal does something that we like or we want to see more of in the future, we're going to give them something that they like. For both Flash and Ray, it often is food that they find most reinforcing, but some animals enjoy touch, some animals enjoy toys, and some seem to enjoy a social interaction, maybe with their favorite keeper. It all depends on what they find reinforcing. It allows us to build trust with those animals, and then from there, we can teach them pretty complicated and complex behaviors, like walking across the stage, or maybe voluntary medical procedures that our animals can choose to participate in, like ultrasounds, blood draws, and radiographs too. All pretty cool stuff. Again, it allows us to build trust with our animals, and it's a pretty simple concept. It all just depends on what they find reinforcing. And with all of that, let's go back to those 2 questions I asked you all at the very beginning. Who you thought was the most important, or who was the most remarkable? Who thinks it was Aries, our ball python, being able to detect which direction her prey went using her tongue? No one. Cool. How many of you think it was Edgar, our little eastern screech owl, hunting his prey without being detected? All right, a couple of you? All right. How many of you think it was Flash, our red-footed tortoise, walking across the stage, strutting her stuff? All right, we got some Flash fans. How many of you think it was Ray, our adorable Virginia opossum, being disease and pest control? Got some Ray fans, awesome. How many of you think that no matter which animal we're talking about, that they're all very important in helping our ecosystems thrive? Yeah, kids, always choose all of the above. It's always the correct answer. You can take that to your teachers, they'll appreciate it. No talking about, they all have a very special place in this world. And I'm also here to tell you that every single one of you do too. We all have different strengths, talents, and skills, but we all share this world together. If any of you are inspired to become the next great conservationist, a veterinarian, maybe you want to be a zookeeper, or maybe just change a habit at home, we can all have a huge impact on this world. And you guys have already made a great start by coming to Busch Gardens today, seeing the presentation, eating ice cream, and simply having fun. You're supporting conservation, education, rescue, and research. Thank you all for allowing us to do what we do each and every day, which is to share and care and celebrate this world we all share. And on behalf of me and my coworkers, both the humans and also the animals, we hope you enjoy the rest of your day here at the park. Goodbye, everyone.